To a WSBU Sports Special. I'm Tom Seipp alongside Nathan Solomon. We're pleased to be joined by new, or should I say returning, new St. Bonaventure women's basketball head coach Jim Crowley. Coach, welcome back to St. Bonaventure.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me up.
Yeah, we were just talking about how this isn't the first time you're back up here in the station, so we're very pleased to have you back up here. And welcome back to St. Bonaventure, like I just said. Just how excited are you to be back here as a Bonnie?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I had said in my opening press conference that, like, from the moment I left, something was missing, and was fortunate enough to run into Father Dan and some other folks this summer at an event, and that feeling came right back. So when the opportunity, when Steve Campbell reached out and the opportunity was potentially there, my family and I got really excited to come back to an area we consider home.
Coach, obviously, before coming back here, you were at Providence for a handful of seasons. Just what was that process like of making this return back to Bonaventure?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have players and folks at a school that you're close to, and but it was time. They were ready for a different voice, and I was ready to be home. So it really worked out very smooth. A lot of times when things come out, people read more into it, but it was just a mutual parting of ways. It was time for them. It was time for me, and just really glad to be back here.
Yeah, and you mentioned that it's home for you. I know you're from here. I believe your wife is from the area as well, right? Just how exciting is it to not only have a great school like St. Bonaventure for you to come back and coach at, but again, in the area, a place that, is home for you? Yeah,
I mean, it's what I believe in. It's where I'm from. I was stuck in Patriots purgatory for a few years. So to get back to Bills country is a really good feeling. But I have family a couple hours away. My wife has family here. My daughter was born here, so it's home.
And I know you said you've been up here in the Buzz before, so that's always pretty cool. Just what's it been like the last week and a half just to see some of those familiar faces again and reconnect with some of those relationships that you've been kind of longing for a while?
Yeah, it's unique. It's been great to see them, but it's unique because you walk the halls and you're like, well, this is very, very familiar. But then the last time I was here, things were pretty set. Now we've got to put together a roster, a staff, all those kind of things. So, and my wife and I had a house here and all that stuff. Now my wife and daughter are still back in Rhode Island. And so every moment that it feels very normal, then something happens that I'm quickly reminded, whoa, got a lot of work to do. We're just getting started and, working to build it back up again.
And you talk about, just being back here and the similarities that we're here, the long tenure that you're here already. Just what else in addition to, not only the hallways, right, but there's a lot of people who are still here the same. Just has it brought a sense of you are home and this is what you grew up with in terms of growing up in your coaching career?
Yeah, just the people are the big thing. Like just knowing how quickly I can get to folks to get things done, and how incredibly willing they are to help and in all ways, and how genuine it is. That's the word that keeps popping into my head is genuine, and that's one of the things that always stood out at Bonaventure is how genuine people were and how willing, and to have that back and to know the depth of the relationships that I have with people. I mean, there are people here who were with me when I came here as an assistant, were as the head coach, and went through some rough times and some incredible times, and they never wavered. So to know that support is here, really it gives comfort in a lot of stuff that is kind of moving parts right now.
Yeah, and being led by athletic director Joe Mahanner, it's just in his brief tenure here, we've seen a lot of change in coaches, a lot of change in a lot of the way that St. Bonaventure athletics are. Just how great is it to be led by Mr. Manhertz, and how have you seen maybe just in a brief time from a far away view St. Bonaventure athletics continuing to take greater steps?
Yeah, I mean, as I was researching things after I talked to Steve Campbell, I talked to a lot of people who I trust a lot and who know the university very, very well. And all of them had universal great words to say about Joe and Jeff, the president, and just how excited they are for the vision of the future and how things are changing. And I've noticed that in my short time here that things are really good. And so that's exciting, and that's great to be part of. And I wouldn't have returned if I couldn't know that I could trust Joe and have a really good relationship with him. And he has been phenomenal in this process, and he was great in the communication I had with him. And So it's exciting to be part of, and I think where Bonaventure Athletics is headed is something special.
Now, Coach, it's been a week since the formal introduction, the press conference. What's this last week been like? What's kind of been top of mind here in these first 7 days back on the job here?
Yeah, the current team and the roster is top of mind. So that involves obviously getting to know them, getting them through some workouts, finding out who's here, who's not here, and then the recruiting, and not just the recruiting of players for next year's team, but building the base for the future, but also recruiting staff and getting folks in here that can believe in Bonaventure, but also really be great influences for the young people we have in our program and we'll bring into our program.
And you mentioned, building that team. Obviously now with, the transfer rule kind of out the window, anytime you're building a program up from the bottom up, it's difficult to build a team to start with. So with that based, and plus with the transfer rule out the window, just how difficult is it to really form a team like this?
Yeah, it's both easier and more difficult. It's easier because you have access to more people than maybe you did when you first started, but it's more difficult because you could lose people that you have. The folks that I've worked with who are in the program, I like and have some excitement about. But there's a really good excitement as we're talking to some people. We're being really selective because when you're building, the most important part is people. And we've got to make sure the right people are in it for the right reasons, both with the folks that we have in the program and folks that we bring into it.
And you keep mentioning the people here at Bonaventure, and you talk a lot about the people inside your own program, but outside the program. There was a lot of fans that were very active, when, you were here at head coach, obviously, Sweet 16 run, multiple NCAA tournament appearances. And maybe in the last few years, while the men's basketball team has seen, success, the women's basketball program hasn't, and maybe they've lost some of that community interaction. Just how do you plan on maybe trying to get the community back into women's basketball here at St. Bonaventure?
Well, the easiest way is to win.
Yes.
People don't want to take time out of their day to not have a good experience. And while I don't know how quickly high level wins will come, they'll come. I don't know how quickly they'll come. The biggest thing, and I've said this to the team, I've said this before, we've got to make that folks want to come back. Whenever something's new, people have some excitement and some interest. So it's on us to make sure they want to come back. And the only way I know to do that is that they see a team that plays hard and plays together. And that's what we're going to really push. That we can always control our effort. We can always control how we work together. And that's going to be kind of the basis of what we do. And I know from past, and I don't think it's changed, that people will get behind that. And usually that'll lead to some good things and people really get behind that.
Coach, when you're building this team, what kind of traits do you look for in players and what do you try to kind of install in that culture in the locker room?
Yeah, first is effort. We need kids who want to play really hard and are able to push through a little bit of adversity. Then, we really want kids that have some resiliency and this isn't going to be easy. So they've got to be able to handle that. Kids who want to be here, who have a genuine interest and passion in what this university is about. It's not for everybody, but if it's for you for life. And so we really want to make sure we find people who are engaged in that. And then obviously they got to have some skills. There's certain skills that I think we have already, and there's some skills we need to add. So we're working through that. And those are the areas that we're looking at as we have potential people.
And, you've mentioned it yourself, Bonaventure is like community, whether it's on campus, off campus, in Olin or, throughout all of Western New York. So how do you want to connect, yourself as a coach back with not just, the Olin community, but the student population?
Yeah, just be visible. That's one of the best things here is you see people. You walk around campus, you walk around, and certainly it's a little late and we don't have games. So interacting with students at this point, will be a little bit of a work in progress, but as we start the school year next year and we have our team, hopefully students have some energy and we do some different things to get around them. And again, our best asset with students is our student athletes. Are they engaged in classrooms? Are they engaged in dorm life? Are they around and visible? And and personable. And our goal is that's the people we want in our program. And then you get excited to come support them.
And I know you've talked about the people continuously, but what's your favorite part about being back here at St. Bonaventure? It could be anything, and I'm sure it's not the weather, but
I don't mind the weather.
Being back here.
There's the easiness of it. That everything is right here, whether it's someone you need to talk to, or the grocery store, or a parking spot, or everything is quickly accessible, and just it's comfortable. It's people I grew up with. It's people I know. It's as we were talking, you guys are from areas I know. There's just that kind of easiness and connection that feels right.
As we kind of start to progress into the spring and summer months, what are you looking forward to most here? Over the next several months leading up to the season.
Yeah, just to watch to form our group and to watch them come together as a group. And again, it's not going to be easy, but I think we've taken some positive steps already. I'm excited about who we'll add to what we'll have, but just to watch the transformation of where we are to where we're going to go. And again, there's going to be some bumps in that road, but excited to travel it.
And then talking a little bit more basketball, I know you're just in the Big East, but coming back to the Atlantic 10, I thought personally the 8-10 women's basketball had a good year this year. Teams like Rhode Island and UMass leading the way, and then St. Louis was the one to go out and win the tournament. Just how excited are you for the progression of Atlantic 10 women's hoops?
Yeah, it's a great league. I mean, obviously one I'm familiar with and have stayed in tune with. Two of those teams are out in New England, so had played Rhodey and know about UMass, obviously. St. Joe's, I thought, put together a really good year. I think Richmond is on the ups. But just a lot of new coaches. Duquesne's always going to be good. There's folks that are really doing some good things already in recruiting. So it is a great league. It's a highly competitive league. But we will always be supportive of the league. But our main focus always is going to be our program and our student athletes and do things our way.
And even outside of the 8-10 slate, how do you look to schedule for non-conference play? I know that's always a big challenge for a lot of coaches. So how do you kind of find that competitive balance?
Yeah, I mean, obviously recruiting is a huge part, but scheduling is really, really important. So, we've got some. We're hoping to get that done fairly soon. We're lucky to have a lot of schools within a short radius. Obviously, the Big Four is still part of what we do, and an important part of what we do, and part of us getting to where we want to go is you got to be really good locally before you can be good nationally. So we're looking at different opportunities and we'll put together a competitive schedule that, will prepare us for great Atlantic 10 season.
And obviously, as we've talked about it, it's so difficult to build a program kind of from the bottom up. So what's your goal for really this first year here back at St. Bonaventure? Yeah,
I keep it pretty simple that we'll have a team that will play hard and will be organized, and that we'll compete.
And then how do you identify success in a program?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have different ways. Ultimately, my bosses decide all that stuff for me. If at the end of the year we got a group that still loves to play basketball and likes each other, then you probably had a pretty successful year.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, as we wrap things up, just what are you most looking forward to just being back? I know we've asked you this question maybe in a few different ways, right? But just what are you most looking forward to being back at Bonaventure?
I can't wait for those Saturday mornings, when there's snow on the ground. And let me start over. That'll be one of it. But really to just have my family here, to have my family and all of us be around so many people that we know really, really care about us. But then those Saturday mornings where the snow is on the ground, it's cold, and the sun's maybe hitting the snow out back, and you're heading in and you got a game that day, and just that feeling in the RC that is unlike anywhere else that I've ever been. And just that, a couple of players out shooting before shoot even gets going because they're so excited, and those are good days.
Coach, we appreciate you taking the time. Welcome back, and we're looking forward to working with you a lot ahead of the season.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you having me up so soon, and certainly thrilled that you guys are back involved.
And thank you
Thank
so
you, Coach.
for Coach Crowley, Nathan Solomon. I'm Tom Seipp, saying so long in the special edition of WSBU Sports.